Welcome to Entrepreneurship Clinic live on PCG TV, and this is the April edition, and we are happy to see you once again. And this is brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV. And as usual, we are here to have a conversation talking about entrepreneurship, talking about how you can also get started, and talking about how you can make ends meet. What can you think about? Is there anything that has been on your mind you think you can turn it into a solution to a certain problem in your community? That is why we are here, so that we give you all the tips that you need to get started and to also maintain the momentum that you start with. My name is Mavis Nakole. Are you stay tuned with us? Welcome back on Entrepreneurship Clinic live on PCG TV, brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV. And this is sponsored by Salem range of products and Salem water. So we have the body lotion, we have the groundnut paste, and a host of other things. Do well to get some of them at the head office or any other Presbyterian institution that you find around you. And in today's edition, or in this month's edition, we'll be tackling one of the most pressing challenges that we find around us, that I know when we start talking about it, you start having conversations amongst yourself wherever you find yourself, because it is something that we encounter each and every day. And we are talking waste. How do we turn waste into cash? Let us move from waste to cash. How do we do that? And we have very seasoned persons here in the studio to have the conversations with them, to share a lot of insights, a lot of expertise, and how we could turn the waste into cash, how we could make it profitable, how we could utilize all the challenges that we find around us in terms of waste, so that it becomes beneficial to the society and becomes beneficial to the globe at large. And so do stay with us. You can join in by sending your comments to our various social media platforms as well. On Facebook, you can find us PCG TV or Presbyterian Relief Services and Development. And then also on YouTube, find us on Presbyterian, in fact, PCG TV. That is what you can find, so that you join in with your comments and maybe share your experiences as well, because you know you also have something that you can add on to the conversation. And so thank you for staying with us. Let me come to my guest in the studio. We have an incredible guest today to have the conversation with, and on my immediate left I have, all right, beside me is Mr. Emmanuel Douglas Texan, who is from the Maintenance and Sustainability Africa, and he's the co-founder and environment lead of that organization. He has a lot of things, in fact, his academic background in biodiversity and all of that. We'll be sharing along the line so that you get to know more of him, and then whilst he shares his story and what he's doing for the environment, you learn more about him as well. And then we have an amazing lady in the person of Mrs. Equia Sewa Nkansa, who is the founder and CEO of Buy Bulk Ventures. She also has a special, in fact, she has a profession in special education, or she's a professional special educator. We'll also be exploring that part of it as well. And so these are environmentalists, if I should put it that way, or activists who would be sharing a lot. How do we make money from waste, and then how do we also impact the society positively whilst we want to make the cash? Welcome, lady and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Thank
you.
Great.
It's good to have you in the studio, and I know that one of the very pressing things that we always encounter, in fact, on a daily basis, is waste. Yeah. And we've had some conversations, very interesting ones, sharing our own experiences. But let me start with you, yes. Being also a theologian, if I should put it that way. Yes. And how do you see the issue of waste and then the management of it as far as Ghana is concerned on the broader spectrum?
Thank you so much. I think that over the years, Ghana has moved from one stage to the other when it comes to the issue of waste. Many years ago, Ghanaians were so mindful of waste generation. They were taking care of their own waste. You could see early in the morning, the women would gather around to sweep, and then they would clean their environments, and the sanitation team would come around to inspect. So they own the waste, they manage it themselves. But at a point in time, I think that they lost their ownership of the waste management, and depended on third-party companies to manage their waste for them.
It makes the work easier.
So they lost the ownership, they lost the responsibility, and thought that it is a responsibility of the company to take care of the waste. So that moved the mindset from taking care of the environment,
taking responsibility and shifting to another person.
Exactly. So, but now I think that some of the advocacy and the education and sensitization that has been happening, it is drawing our mind back to those days for us to own the waste, to recycle, to go into environmental advocacy, and to manage. So, yes, we were better, but we
maybe there was a change.
Yes.
There's always a change, but as to whether it's a good change or a bad change is where we should be finding our feet right now. Exactly. But even those times, you still, like you mentioned, that the women will sweep and all of that. And the questions that were raised were that, so after sweeping and collecting, what's next? Those times, what were they using those things for? Were there any kind of things that the waste was being, or how it was even disposed of and everything?
Those days, the main places of disposal were the landfills, but it was a bit okay because most of the household items were biodegradable. Okay. So remember, you go to the wache joints to buy, and then they put it in the leaf. Oh, so you eat. So most of the waste that are generated household were biodegradable. Yeah. When you go to the market, you buy fish, they put it in a paper. So at the end of the day, you realize that most of the things that you have is degradable. Yeah. So when you dispose it at the landfill, at a certain point, it degrades. Yes. But we in trying to modernize and to develop, we chose plastics, and it served a certain purpose, but it also became a huge problem for us to manage.
And maybe it's looking like the disadvantages of it have outweighed the advantages that we want to actually have. Yeah. We'll come back to the very interesting points that you are building on, and then what we can even be doing and all of that. That is why we are here. Yeah. Let me come to Mrs. Ikiasewa in Council of Buy Bulk Ventures. The first question I asked in my head was, what are we buying?
Okay, thanks so much. Buy Bulk is a business, it's an adventure with my younger brother.
Oh, okay.
So we deal in products, soaps, toiletries, and then my artifacts, and then he does the office materials.
Oh, okay.
He works at public archives. So if you want your records, arrangements, and then those things. So it's a family, me and my brother and his friend.
So it's like a group of things. Yes. But let's come to the waste aspect of your Buy Bulk Ventures. What exactly is Buy Bulk Ventures into?
Using old ties to make artifacts, tables, ottoman, and then chairs.
Okay. Just that's so we are talking
with the ties and then empty bottles.
Okay, so that is you using the waste for something. But maybe just before I come to we continue that conversation, you are using waste for all of those things. At what point did you realize that? Was it a challenge for you? Were you kind of bothered about the kind of waste you were generating? What led to you being interested in even doing it?
Oh, thank you. During the lockdown, and as we were at home doing nothing, we were asked, I'm a teacher, so all of us were at home. And boredom came in. I saw the advert that a lady at Nkoko using old ties and then bottles to make this artifact. Nice. So I just showed interest, paid, and then I went to learn from her.
Interesting.
Yes. to also help with the environmental degradation on waste materials.
Okay.
I realized that it will help because the whole, like I say, 50% of our country is filled with waste materials, and we are not using it.
Yeah.
So it's the idea helped to able to solve some of our waste.
So
issues.
even for you in your household, are you able to kind of use your household waste, like when you generate?
It's not enough.
It's not enough, so you have to get more. So how do you collect?
I usually visit with the Thai works. I usually visit the organizers, go and buy at a little amount, then bring it over wash. Yes, even though it's waste, you have to show appreciation. Okay. I'll say that. Then I will use them. I'll bring them home, clean them up before I'll start with other materials to bring out that beautiful work.
It sounds easier than it is. So we explore how easy it is and then how difficult the other ones you are not telling us to. Then you come to Emmanuel Texan. For years, we are talking about how we can clean the environment, and then the fact that we have had a shift from being, taking care of our own and then shifting responsibilities to third parties. Is there anything that we can do? Not by way of, we haven't explored challenges, all of that, but where we are now, what should we be doing? What should we be looking at, even as we look at moving again back into the ones that we were already practicing?
Yes. So I think that we have to go back. We have to own the waste management systems.
Okay.
The households should begin to separate their waste, especially the plastics from the biodegradable ones, and any other waste that we think that we can separate, and we'll be able to do it. We don't have to wait for a company or a government to separate our waste for us. It has to start with us. We have to own it. And I'll tell you about a story about how we started, even this business. And when I completed school, at the same time, my brother also completed school. And we're praying for jobs. As Christians, we went to the mountains to pray. And
wait on the Lord.
Yes. And at the mountains, I think that we had a vision that we were growing grass, and we interpreted it as, something new is coming up, some jobs and things. So we came down to the community, and we're not still getting jobs. And one day we were working in the community, and we saw a landfill there. It was an illegal landfill within the community. Yeah. And as usual, we were complaining, why is this thing here and government is not doing anything about it? Then it dawned on us that, okay, but what can we also do? And we worked with a company to see how we can transform that landfill. And so we're able to transform it into a recreational facility where children can go and play. It was at a point where we were transforming, we were planting trees and growing grass. Then we realized that, this is what we saw when we were praying. And so we realized that it's a conviction, and God is interested in how we care for the environment. And so if we are going to shift our minds, we have to be convicted. We have to know that God is even interested. As Christians, we have a lot of biblical supporting caring for God's creation.
Yeah.
So once you know it,
it's a command.
Exactly. Yeah. If you look at Genesis 2:15, said God puts the man into the garden to dress it and to keep it. In other words, to sustain it, to make it well, to make it better. So managing your waste at home is a biblical command. it's a conviction, and we have to start it. Then our minds will begin to change.
Definitely. I think to care for it, not to spoil it, not to destroy it, not to make it dirty. If you just joined us, it's Entrepreneurship Clinic on PCG TV, brought to you by the Department for Development and Social Services in collaboration with PCG TV. In Thy Light, there is light. And today we are having a conversation on turning your waste into cash, moving from waste to cash. How do we do that? And from the ones that you have heard so far, it's getting very interesting, and would like you to call other people to join in and also share your experiences, share your comments. Maybe you are into waste management. You could also let us know what you are doing that someone could learn from it. We know there are lots of innovations out there. And that is why we are here, so that we could put all of that together and make our environments better, as we also earn something from it. And so do well to join us on our various social media platforms and then drop us those comments. And we are sponsored by Salem range of products and Salem water. And so stay tuned with us. We will be right back. Welcome back on Entrepreneurship Clinic, and this is the April edition as we talk about from waste to cash. How do we turn our problems, how do we turn our challenges into something beneficial for ourselves, for our families, for our societies, and then for our globe, so that we can also keep our climate changes very down. And we are talking waste to cash. So what can you also do? And we have very incredible guests in the studio today talking about how they were able to turn waste into something very useful. And I mean, this beautiful thing, table that we have in front of us was made by one of the guests, and you can guess. Yes, so it means that there are lots of things going on that you could also join in the train. And we are sponsored by the Salem range of products and Salem water. And we are continuing the conversation. And so do well to also share your experiences with us. Before we left off, we were talking about the fact that there were some inspirations and how you started your organization and all of that. That is Maintenance and Sustainability Africa. We couldn't explore more, but maybe this is the time you can tell us more about what your organization does as Maintenance and Sustainability Africa.
Okay, so we are into environmental sustainability, green solutions, plastic recycling, and also advocacy. And one of the things that we have been doing is to work with faith-based organizations to cause behavioral change. We think that quite a number of Ghanaians are Christians, and we think that it's an opportunity to learn, have some biblical knowledge.
According to findings, 70% of Ghana are Christians.
Exactly. So I think we've worked with the Presbyterian Church for some time. And so our work is basically on environmental sustainability, and plastic recovery is one of the things that we are doing now.
Great. So you mentioned behavioral change. I would want to talk a little. So how is it like for the people that you engage? How essential or effective has the advocacy been? Because sometimes you'd find people gathered and you give them education, segregate ways, blah, blah, blah. After that, things don't really, how is it like for you?
I think it has been good. Sometimes it's just the lack of awareness or the knowledge. Some people, especially in the plastic recycling, do not want to separate their waste because they think that when you even sort it out at home, a pickup truck will come and put everything together. But we let people know that no, when you separate, you can call plastic companies to just come and then pick that alone. So you create the awareness. You let people know that now Ghana is separating plastics. We are talking about circular economy. So whatever plastic that you generate should go back to be recycled. And so people now have the knowledge, and they try to sometimes it's difficult, but it takes time, and with time they begin to change. So behavioral change, that is why we also use the Bible as a resource book, scripture basis, to let the people know that this is what God is saying. God wants you to do it, so we have to obey what God is saying. And there are a lot of Bible references that
Yeah.
points to that.
We'll talk about the different kinds of waste that we even generate and then how we use them, because when you come to buy bulk ventures, she is using some particular types of waste that you mentioned. So you mentioned that you use the ties,
and then the empty bottles.
The empty bottles.
Of the drinking bottles. Yeah.
So yes, how do you collect? You mentioned that you go to the organizers to get the ties, but with the bottles, do you buy from households or what exactly?
I visit restaurants.
Okay.
To gather them, and then I use them.
So like how many of it do you need to be, and what exactly do you do?
When I go, the number of bottles that I will get, I'll come and work on them.
Okay.
So it's not huge. I don't usually, because I don't have a storage. So the little that I can gather, I'll make use of them.
So for
100 bottles,
okay,
between 150 bottles,
you could work with that.
I can work with them. Yeah.
Okay. So for you around your community, how do you think that is? Because if you are talking about, I'm sure we generate more than that in your community alone. The kind of bottles that, in fact, in each day are being generated are more. So how do you manage that? Do you collect so that you keep and you don't have to be going every day, or you go on a daily basis to collect them?
I go a weekly basis to that a particular restaurant.
Oh, not other restaurants.
I don't go to the dustbins.
Oh.
Because you know the restaurants, you get it clean.
Okay.
But going to the dustbins, you have to come back, wash them before you can work with them. So I usually go to a particular restaurant. So weekly or sometimes twice a week. It depends the call, but we have enough for you. The sack that you brought is full, so you have to come and pick it and then bring another one.
Okay,
so I usually work on them to clean them again.
So I think that even explains your segregation, that if you're able to segregate, then it helps us to even easily use it or recycle it and make them into something else. Because for something like this that you made, which is very beautiful, how many bottles, like an estimate, would you need to do something like this? I'm sure there's no bottle in this one, but there are others that's
down there at the office.
Yeah, but for similar things like this that you use bottles.
Maybe 50.
50 bottles in something like this small?
No.
Okay, bigger
ones.
About
the table, 20 will do.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. So,
due to my work, I don't do a lot
of on a
work
larger scale.
Larger scales, yes.
So, for something like this, if someone wants to purchase, how much is that?
Usually ranges from 100 to 150.
Oh, that's so affordable. I mean, that's cheap. Because it looks beautiful than the price that I'm here. So, I mean, if you're also watching us, this is please just explain to us what this is made of.
It's made with the car tie, a foam, and then the cloth. Yes. And then the casters for the legs, and then the glass. You have to go to the fabricators for them to cut and polish the edges so that lifting them, you can lift it.
Okay.
And then if there's a centerpiece, you can put your remote controls, and then
just like we have our bottles on.
Yes, or inside. You can put your
inside, okay.
You can lift it like this.
You can lift it like this.
And keep your things in it.
Remote control, storybooks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. So that whenever you just get to the table, you can get access to your things.
So lifting and the edges must be smooth to prevent maybe there are children in the house might cut them. So it has to be smooth. So all those things will go through the machine for it to be done by another person.
And
then the base is plywood. Before you can fix the casters. Yes, under it.
Yeah.
And there is glue work as well. As you cover it with the cloth, you have to glue it and staple it at the same time so that the fabric will not come out.
How easy is it for you to get something like this done? Is it in a day? In how many hours?
in 3 days.
Oh.
Because you have to wash the ties, clean it for it to be dry before you can use the glue work for it to get dry.
Okay.
And then you cover it with the foam for it to get dry for the cloth and then the glass. So let's say by 3 days, one will be ready.
Okay.
Or 2. It depends the time, maybe morning till evening. I can finish within a day.
Within a day.
But as a nursing mother, you work small, you have to take care of the house.
Yeah, so approximately you can take a day to produce one of
a
this.
table, yes.
So if maybe there are even orders, people have, like, you make it for hotels and all of that. So how do you handle on a daily basis, or like on a normal day when, yes, there's an order that you are working on?
When there is an order, I can work overnight.
Okay.
Money.
Money is calling. So yes.
Even when others are asleep, I have to get up and finish.
Cutting glass and be gluing.
Yes. When the children are asleep, you have to get up, continue the work, so that within the staple time they've given to you, you've been able to finish and then supply, because they're also relying on you to work with.
So you're saying this is like rejected tie, that's waste.
Yes, waste.
This is
rejected ones.
And then the fabric
is not the rejected total, those ones that have wires around it. It must be smooth for us to be able to work. So it's rejected ones, but not the old worn out ties. It's not that worn out.
Okay, so you get the tie and then you wash it with what? What do you?
I send them to the washing bin.
Oh, okay.
For it to be washed. Maybe 10 ties at the same time. So if it's washed, I keep them on my shelf. And then when the orders come, and then I'll work with it.
So this is just even a side hustle.
Yes.
As part of being a special educator, taking care of special children and all of that. So it means that in as much as we are producing these ways, because sometimes you find children playing with these ties, like just pushing them and all of that, and you find them lying somewhere and everything. But this is what we can use such a waste for, because if we don't keep it, or we don't even have any use for it, you can imagine sometimes they just pile it somewhere.
And it's
mosquitoes.
It's even breeds mosquitoes. When I go to the organizers, for instance, and I'm selecting them, you see the mosquitoes. It's a lot of mosquitoes.
This is very beautiful, and I think so if you are watching us, maybe you can also consider something. You can think about something. This is what someone thought about and have been able to use waste for. So she's able to get them off the street and then put it into a very good use and something very beautiful for our decoration as well, because it beautifies the place as it's here. I mean, it's adding color to our program. So if you're also watching, it's important that you think about something and then you can turn your waste into cash. Let me come to Emmanuel. Yes, we are talking how things like this can be made. We talked about the fact that now we have shifted, we have a lot of recycling measures in place so that we can reduce. But is that everything that we can do so that we can manage our waste properly?
I think we're talking about how every day in Ghana, close to 3,000 tons of plastics are generated. So today, by the end of our discussion, 3,000 tons of plastics are generated.
Just the plastics.
Exactly. Because I always use myself as an example. I did an introspective assessment of myself, and I realized that every day I generate about 10 of plastics, because in the morning you buy your cocoa and then the kose, and then they'll put it in the black rubber.
In case you add bread, it will be put in a
different one. And the woman will say, "Oh, nice gentleman, let me put it in a nice poly bag." Even when you refuse, oh no, let me. So in the morning you generate about 4, and then in the afternoon you go and buy your gobe. You know, those days we used to just put it in the leaf and then we run and then something. But now we put it in the white one, and then put it in the black or a pack, and then a nice gentleman, they will put it in the another bag. Then you buy your bottle or your water. So in the afternoon too, you've generated about 3 or 4. In the evening, same. So at least we all generate about 10 of plastics every day. So look at the number of generation. And so we should do more. There are a lot of things that we have to do. We have to reduce the plastics that we use, and then we have to upscale or upcycling, as she's doing. We have to recycle the plastics as well. And so for us, we try to recover the number of plastics that goes into the community. We are able to put plastic receptacles at the various churches in the communities and the mosques. We think that people go to the church and then it generates, and then people are supposed to separate their plastics at home, bring it to the church or the mosque, and then we come and then pick them up. So there are a lot of things that we can do. We can work with children in the schools. Look at the number of sachet water that are generated at the schools. So we should also target the schools. So
there are different types of the waste materials that we can use. I'm sure we'll have to talk more about that so that we know what we can use. Maybe someone is able to use tire, but if it is maybe food waste or something that I use, I also make in the house, how do I get to use stuff like that? So it is just the plastics and then the papers and all of those things. And so we'll be coming to talk more about that. And that is Emmanuel Douglas Texan, who is with the Maintenance and Sustainability Africa, and he is the co-founder and then also environment lead. And then also we've been speaking to Mrs. Ekia Sewa in Cancer, who is CEO and founder of Bulk Ventures. She's into making things beautiful as this. And so you can get in touch maybe after the program and then we can talk more. But you are watching Entrepreneurship Clinic. This is the April edition, talking about from waste to cash. How do we minimize waste? How do we turn our waste into cash so that we get the benefits from the challenges that we encounter in our communities, and not just sit to complain, but take a step towards creating something out of the problem, finding opportunities in the challenges that we encounter on a daily basis. We are going for a short break. We'll be right back. You are live on Entrepreneurship Clinic, the April edition, as we talk about from waste to cash with incredible entrepreneurs and environmentalists here in the studio. And this is brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV. And we are sponsored by the Salem range of products and Salem water. And so do well to get some of these products. We have the body lotion, we have the hair food, shea butter, tissues, and a host of other things. And so get close to any of the Presbyterian institutions or the head office, and then you can get yourself some of these products and even trade in them. And so we are continuing the conversation talking about from waste to cash, and we have explored how we are able to generate a lot. Yes, we are generating a lot of waste, but how do we now turn that into something beneficial so that we don't bury ourselves in the challenge and then we don't also even have money to fend for anything? Can you imagine? So it's important that we think of very innovative ways to solve the problems and then also benefit from them as well. And then we've been talking to Mr. Emmanuel Texan, Douglas Texan, who is co-founder and environmental lead for Maintenance and Sustainability Africa, and also the founder and CEO of Bulk Ventures in the person of Mrs. Ekia Sewa in Cancer. She's also a special educator taking care of special children. And we have explored a lot, but continuing with you, Emmanuel, we were talking about the different kinds of waste that we even generate and how we can use them. Let's continue with that.
Okay, thank you so much. Back in the days, there were only two waste components. We had the biodegradable ones, and then the glass bottles.
Okay.
So, and we didn't used to have a lot of plastics, but now we have the biodegradable ones. That is the cassava, the food waste, the other waste that easily break. Now and then the plastics, and then we have the cans as well, and then we have the glass bottles as well. So the waste is
I
anything.
think even electronics, because
Yes.
the
Yes.
wires and stuff that we see around.
Yes. So the electronic waste also as well, the household, the things that you don't use anymore, the old computers that are still there, they are all, the wastes. Now they have come to be, waste, household waste, and so proper separation would have to be done. But in order for people not to overwhelm themselves, they can easily start with separating the plastics and then the other wastes. Okay. So you have in the house, you should have at least two waste bins, one for the food waste and then one for the others, where you can put the plastics and then the bottles and the cans in it. Some of the recycling companies pick the cans and then the bottles and then the breakable yes, so you can put that one together.
I was just thinking, like you're saying, so maybe I don't have use for can, or I don't even know anyone who collects it. Then what becomes of even when I segregate? What happens? Because the collector comes and I give it out, they just merge everything together. So in such circumstances, how is it handled?
So now we have plastic companies who come purposely to pick plastics. So now we don't have that excuse that, okay, they'll put it together. Okay, so when maybe your local waste company comes, you will just pick the biodegradable waste, the other wastes. Okay, you don't have to give them the plastics. So there are other plastic companies who, we can share contacts, and then you call them, they'll just come and pick the plastics. If you live in a household or like a compound house where there are about 5 people in the compound house, yes, you can educate the people as well, so that you can be collecting their plastics. There's money attached to it. I don't know whether maybe later in the conversation we'll talk about the cash incentive. So when you gather about 1 ton of the plastics, there's a cash equivalent to it. When the plastic company come to pick it up, they weigh and then they pay you on that equivalent. So I think that currently 1 kilo is like 2 cedi. So a household, you can start to gather about 50 kg, and then you can earn about 100 cedis.
So when you talk about like 100 tons of bottles or whatever it is, what can someone use? Because me sitting in the house, I don't know how many bottles do I need to make 100 tons of bottles so that I can sell.
I'm sure you have seen the tricycles, those tricycles who have been picking only plastics.
Aboboya.
Yes, the aboboya. Yeah. Usually it's close to 1 to 2 tons. Okay. But it might be very tedious for you to gather that much. So when you gather about 50 kg, it becomes a lot. And you have to make sure that you squeeze it or you flatten it so that it will not become so bulky. So you flatten it or you squeeze it so that you can gather a lot. And then you call the plastic companies, they will just come and then pick it. They weigh and then give you the cash equivalent to it. So you have 50 kg, you can have about 100 cedis, as something side that you are earning. We have waste pickers who are in the community. Their main job, the old women who go around to just pick the sachet and the bottles. Yes, they are able to gather a lot. So young people watching can go into that space. You can target a school. They generate quite a lot of the sachet. So just give them a bin or a big bag or something.
I think just like she does, sends the sack to the restaurant and then they gather
Yes,
for her.
exactly. And then the school would provide it for you. It's free money for you. Once it becomes full, you call the companies, they come and then they pick it and then they pay you for it.
Maybe by the time we leave, we'll have to mention some of the companies so that people would know, because sometimes for where I live, you would find people, they have gathered, but no one is coming to buy, and then it becomes like waste again in your house. So you'd want to get rid of it, and by that you end up either burning or just discarding it somewhere, and then it produces a whole lot of things again. But for even other waste like the biodegradable ones, I know people use it for other things. Can you throw some light on that, what people can use even the biodegradable for, so that it's not like this is what I generate, maybe in a chop bar, or for people who deal in a lot of farm produce and all of that? Is it just throw it away, or there's something else that you can talk about?
So for food waste, usually there are livestock producers who are able to buy them and then to feed their cattle or their livestock. And but for the household ones, you can easily turn it into a compost, but you have to do a proper separation. Okay, make sure that you don't have plastics in it. So the fufu and everything at your backyard, just dig a place and then just keep it there. Okay, with time it will break down. It will break down. So the food compost, and then you can use that soil for planting and other things. You can have your small pot, and it will be nice doing it. When you see about 3 months, 6 months, the outcome of what you've done, you will feel happy. You know that you have converted food waste into a manure, and then you now have a small pot and you can plant some flowers in it. So that's what help you to do something, and it brings your creativity, and you see it, and then you are happy about it.
So fulfilled.
Yes.
And for even things like metals, electronics, are there also some opportunities in there? Because I mean, for even young people, I'm sure those would be more frequent amongst them, because they see like smartphone, someone's phone is for a laptop. You don't know whether to throw it away or what to do with it. How do young people, especially young entrepreneurs, manage these things so they can turn it into something useful?
So for electronic waste, I think there's a Caritas, there's a Catholic initiative who are able to work on the electronic waste. It needs a lot of technical skill to remove the various components, and sometimes some of the materials can be hazardous, so you have to have the technical know-how to be able to do it. So once you're able to gather it in bulk, you can call them for them to pick it up, or you can take it to them when it comes to the electronic waste.
Okay, let me come to you. For the things that you make, what are some challenges that you face in your collection? And when you use, are there other waste that you even produce after taking what you want from it? And how do you manage all of those?
For the challenges is other materials that will be added to bring out that beauty. Going to the market, getting the wooden aspects, meeting the carpenters to help you cut the shape out. Then other materials, glue work, how to get them. After that, your hands, how you have to clean them to be able to go and cook. So those are the challenges. But collection of the ties and then the bottles, I don't face much problem. Aside giving a token before they can give in to you.
But are there occasions that maybe you need the materials, like the waste materials, to use for some orders, and then you do not get them, or it's a bounce? So
I've never experienced that.
Okay, that is just
always, I usually move to the filling stations where the organizers are. I always, when I'm taking them, maybe I need 3, but I'll ask for 6 or 7 to store it in case it was, in the restaurant will have a sack that I will go and put it at the restaurants for them to. But I don't use the crushed bottles.
Oh, okay.
I need to get the full bottle.
Okay.
I don't need the crushed or the crumpled one. I can't work with that.
Okay. So it even means that
there must be a cover on it too.
Okay.
Before I can work with those ones.
Okay. So it means that depending on what you want to even use it for, then it tells or determines how you get your waste, and then you are able to also manage it. But again, in your field of work or in your line of work, issues of funding for things like this, is it difficult for you to find, or how is it like?
Yes.
Because for someone watching, they'll be asking, so I just go for the ties. Where do I get the fabrics? All of the things, other things that I'll need.
I find it myself. The small that we are all taking, yes. So I work with them and then going to the market to get the quality. The material must be the quality of
so like new
material.
fabric.
Yes, it's a new fabric, not
that one is not waste.
No, not new fabric. And then you have to select the ones that are durable, so that it can last long. Yes.
Okay.
Then the foam, you have to go to the market, get the foam, the size that you want, your nails, your tools, all those things. I usually visit the Cantamanto, where they sell those materials, the carpenter's side. Yes, that's where I usually buy my materials and then use. So I'm more or less like a carpenter.
So I mean, yes, this is evidence that you can turn your waste into cash, real cash, because this, if it's even sold at 100 cedis, it's even very cheap. I'm suggesting that it's increased for me. Increase for our viewers.
It depends of the specs that you want me to attach to the work.
Okay, so I think that's very interesting, and we'll be talking
for the
more
simple
on that
one, it ranges between 100 and 150.
Okay, that's for the very simple
one.
one.
A fixture with a lightning inside. I want it to be a bit lifted up.
I think next time we'll have to bring another one here so that we can explain. We are going for a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about some of the things and the other things that you also do in addition to this one, so people can see what we are able to use waste for, turning the waste into cash. So if you are in a place where you feel that there's a lot of dirt, there's a lot of waste, so many plastics or so much around you flying on the streets, think about something. And she didn't just get up and start doing, but she trained herself. So it means that you find the ways to get yourself trained because of what you want to do, or dependent on what you want to do with it. This is the April edition of the Entrepreneurship Clinic, live on PCG TV, and brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV. And we are sponsored by the Salem range of products and Salem Water. We are going for a break, and when we come back, we will continue the conversation. Welcome back to Entrepreneurship Clinic, the April edition, where we are talking about from waste to cash. And we have talked a lot about some of the things that you can use, the various kinds of waste that we produce, even in our homes, for electronics, papers, when it comes to ties, plastics, and everything. So think of something that you can do, or learn how you can use the waste that you generate around you, and the ones that other people generate. You may never know. You become the CEO of a company because of the kind of waste management that you are engaged in, and that also serves a very good purpose for our environment. And so do well to think about something. And this is brought to you by the Development and Social Services Department in collaboration with PCG TV. You can share your comments and your questions or your experiences with us on our various social media platforms. On Facebook, find us PCG TV. On YouTube, we are there, PCG TV. And also you can find Presbyterian Relief Services and Development. You can also look for us so that you share your thoughts and your experiences with us. We've been talking a lot, and we'll be continuing the conversation as we explore more, especially when it comes to some of the challenges that we even encounter with the kind of waste that you want to use in your innovation or in your work that you want to establish. And we've been speaking to Mr. Emmanuel Douglas Texan, who is with the Maintenance and Sustainability Africa, and Mrs. Ekia Sewa Nkansa, who is the CEO of Bulk Ventures, and she's into a lot of very beautiful artifacts that you can use. So let me start with you again, that we were talking about some of the things that you use, the kind of waste, and then the challenges that you even encounter in your work, and also with issues of funding for people who may not necessarily, you are a special educator, so it's a side hustle you're able to fund. For someone who is unable to get that, how would you advise that a person is able to fund it? Is there any way that you feel they can get to fund so that, yes, they can start something? Or what would they need? Someone is sitting there, I want to start, but I don't have any money to fall on. What would you advise that they do?
That's get in touch with an NGO, or taking you up.
But do you need a lot of money to?
No.
Okay.
No. All that you need is your tools, and then
like
your hammer, your plier, your screwdriver, your hammer, the saw to cut out your wood, and then your brush for your glue work, and then other material, the cloth, the foam. It doesn't involve much funding. At least, I can say, with 1,000 to 1,500, you are able to acquire your material, your tools.
Okay.
You can work.
You can set up.
Yeah, you can
That's very interesting. So maybe before we leave, we'll let people know where they can find you, so that you'd train them or lead them into how they can start it. Someone may be watching, they're like, this is a lucrative one for me, I can start from where they are. And yes, I forgot to ask, do you need maybe to have, like, you supplying for hotels and all of that? Is it just hotels? You mentioned you can keep in your home as well. How do you get
some people order it for as a centerpiece at their hall. Some also order it for their gardens, backyard gardens. A table at your porch to host your friends. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
it's
yes,
not necessarily only hotels, but
you.
Individuals as a domestic upholstery. Yeah.
Great. Let me come to Emmanuel. You being a more environmentalist and conscious of the society, what kind of impact is this making for us? We being able to even generate or use our waste for something, how does that impact us as a society, and then maybe even as a nation at large?
Yes, thank you. When it comes to the environment, you know that anything that destroys the environment would eventually destroy the person who is destroying the environment. You realize that now fishermen are catching more plastics than fishes, actually. And when you open a fish, it is likely that you will find some plastics in the fish, okay? And research is showing that plastics are being found in our bloodstream, which it means that, it is becoming a health hazard. And so
that's really serious.
Yes. And so once we recover the plastics from the communities or from entering into the sea, we are creating a huge social impact, not to destroy biodiversity, not to destroy the environment, not to destroy the soil. When plastics enter into the soil, it becomes difficult for trees to even penetrate them.
Okay.
And so we have to recover quite a number of these plastics. We just said that about 3,000 tons of plastics are generated daily. So we all have to come on board to recover the number of plastics that, go into the system. It chokes our gutters. We can predict, the rains have started, that plastics will choke gutters. People houses or rooms would be flooded because the gutters will be choked. And so we all have to come together and then desilt the gutters, take the plastics off the community. We have to educate our mothers in the market, educate people, teach them to recover the plastics from the community. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, plastic recycling is the only thing that you don't need anything to start with.
Okay.
Because you are hungry, you go to a community, you find a number of plastics, just gather them. Go to a school, gather them, and then call a recycling company to come and buy from you. So you can start small and, work through the value chain and then do something for yourself. So if you don't have any job, if you are not doing anything at home, just start something small. Go to the communities, go and tell the people in your neighborhood that, oh, they should even gather the plastics for you. They will do it for you freely. So you are able to gather from various households, from schools, and then at the end of the day, it becomes cash incentive for you. So, you are creating jobs, you are making sure that the environment is clean, making sure that biodiversity is not impacted. And at the end of the day, we benefit from that. So these are the social impacts.
I was just even thinking that we are talking cash, but again, if we are posing or we are producing a lot of plastic waste and it's posing health risks on us, and then we'd have to use money, hospital, and all of those things. If we are able to reduce or we are able to, cut the rate at which we are producing, does it also become something even beneficial? Because you even started mentioning issues of reduction. Maybe we can build on that as well for people in an area where they may not necessarily be able to put all of them together, or maybe they are not even interested in venturing anything of that sort. How do they ensure that, like, they are cutting the rate at which they are producing or reducing that kind of waste so that it doesn't pose health risks on us?
I think that we have to go back to the old days where we had a specialized bag, tote bags, that you go to the market and you buy all your things and put it into it. You don't have to be collecting all the plastics that the market woman would ask you or give it to you. So, and then you have to educate the woman that you are trying to reduce your waste. And we have to also use our own bottles so that we can fetch just water and drink from it. And do anything that you can do to reduce the plastics that you yourself you generate. So take a personal inventory for today. Look at how many plastics that you are able to reduce. If I do 10, try and do 8, and try and do 5, and then try and reduce to 3. Then you will get there.
But for the fact that we even want to turn our waste into cash, is it possible that also influences us generating more?
Oh, not at all.
Yes, because you want to have more plastics and then sell it to the collectors and then get some tip. Then
only about 15% of plastics that are produced are recycled, actually. So today, the number of plastics that would be thrown out, we can only recover just about 12 to 15%.
Okay.
So the generation is not, and plastic recycling is coming up, and we are not there yet. It's a system in progress. It needs to be better. We need data collection and many, things to add to the system. So it's not a perfect system. Sometimes when you gather and you are calling and they are not coming, they are not picking up. There are issues with transportation, issues with fuel and all of that. So you just have to be patient. And so it's a system that is being perfected. Currently, the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology is supporting quite a number of recyclers, including our organization. We are working with UNIDO, a fund from the Global Environment Facility. Okay. Thanks be to them, we are being supported to scale the plastic collection. So we can now secure tricycles to better the recycling projects that are ongoing.
Unfortunately, we'll have to be ending the conversation here, but I'll just in your final word, where do you see the sector going? Just in like 15 seconds.
Yes. One thing that I would say is that your plastic is your responsibility. So let's all try to recover the number of plastics that we generate. And it's a growing center, it's a growing business. And if at this particular point it's a hot, now we are talking about circular economy. So if you are looking for an area that you want to invest, if you're looking for an area that you want to learn and enter, plastic recycling programs or business is a good area for you to enter into.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Douglas Texton, who is with the Maintenance and Sustainability Africa and CEO, co-founder, and then environment lead as well. Thank you very much. Your final words in 50 seconds. What would you tell people watching?
They should not let any waste go away.
Okay.
Can make use of any waste, especially the bottles, even the sachets, the sachet ones. People are using it to make bags, purse, pencil cases. So no waste is waste.
No waste is waste. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ekia Sewa in Cancer. And so thank you very much for doing the viewing. We've been talking, or we talked about from waste to cash. How do we convert our waste into something meaningful for ourselves, and as we also clean our environment. And this has been the April edition of the Entrepreneurship Clinic, brought to you by the Department for Development and Social Services in collaboration with PCG TV and supported or sponsored by the Salem range of products and Salem Water. My name is Mavis Nakole Ayi, and catch you on the next edition.